Hey Libra, how's it going? I was seeing in the pre-shuffle that you have a lot of different things that are going on right now, and it feels like a test to kind of balance everything, but I'm seeing you making it work. So maybe you have a lot of stuff that's on your plate, or maybe you have varying things that are on your plate right now. Maybe there's also something about like having to like transition between different things, and so it can feel a little bit like maybe there's a lot of movement within the energy, but at the same time the way that it was coming through was that you are making it work. So now could just be kind of a busy time for you where there can be a lot of like multitasking that's going on, and that also means too that you can be constantly kind of looking at your list of what's important and making sure that you're tending to those things. And if you have anything going on where you're like, the love just isn't there for it, it can be a time when these things are removed. You can be looking for a deeper sense of connection as well. I'm seeing 8 of Cups and I'm also seeing Lovers. So when we have that, there can be relationships that you don't feel connected to or you don't feel fulfilled within, and you may be moving in the direction of connections that feel more relevant for you now. You could even be walking away from one thing specifically to go to another. Something that feels more... Wow, the Empress is connected with this. Yeah, there can be something that you... When we have 8 of Cups, it's more than just looking for what we're going to feel connected with. Like usually there's a transition that's involved in that. So with 8 of Cups, you could have something going on that you have to leave or that you have to break away from or break apart from in order to connect with what you want, kind of like a choice. It can come down to a choice that's being made. So this isn't just like I'm starting at 0 and I'm going to the thing. This can be I'm transitioning from one thing to the next thing. Having Lovers there, it can be one relationship, it can be multiple relationships, it can be specifically choices that feel like they are connecting with you now. And we have Gemini and we have Venus here, so this can mean like on an intellectual level, I need this to feel like a match for me, or on a level of communication, like I need that communication to be there. So there can be things about what's important to you that are being highlighted, and that can be more so what you're gravitating towards. Like maybe you're moving towards connections that feel like there are common interests there, where there's stuff that maybe you're observed for connecting with and maybe appreciated for those things. Or you can be going towards somebody that maybe they're connected with things that you value and you appreciate, and you guys can like bond over those things. I'm seeing a lawnmower here. So overall, if you had things going on where you weren't really feeling great, some of you collaborations can be involved in this. If you've been having some stuff going on that wasn't feeling great, that maybe you didn't want to connect with anymore, it can be the time when you transition out of those things. Seeing Gemini and Pisces. I'm seeing a desire here for more fulfilling, like all-consuming connection. Like maybe you're looking for some more intensity, maybe like some more passion, maybe just some more common ground. Because having Venus there will be that like you want to gravitate in the direction of somebody that you will appreciate things, either the same things or things that are complementary with one another. And that is important, because if you don't have this kind of relationship with someone, it can mean that the things that are important to you, the other person will kind of be like, I don't really get that. And you can be looking for a connection where somebody's gonna get that. And so it can be something that you want because it's like you like those things and you feel uplifted by those things, and you can want somebody that recognizes the value in those things too, and that both of you guys recognize the value in either the same things or similar things, like complementary things with one another. And this also gives you common ground to have conversations about those things and to kind of be on that same wave. Like maybe you want somebody that you can kind of chit chat with a little bit here, having Gemini, as Gemini is a sign very much a hub of communication. So maybe there's somebody where it's like Venus is the things that we love, the things we're attracted to, the things that we care about, the things that allow us to feel spirited. And Gemini is about talking about those things and thinking about those things and like going to this convention or like making this little trip because that activity is happening over there. So it's like this little stuff that gives you functional things to do surrounding it, so you can kind of stay involved and gravitating around the stuff that matters to you. And you can be wanting partnership that supports that it's not just like dragging somebody behind you being like, please go to this thing with me because I'm really interested in this. It's like somebody that's walking alongside you because they'd be going in that direction anyway too, because that's something that they're into. So there can be like more of this maybe that you have been wanting, and you can be looking at connections where that's not really going on. It can be one connection, it can be multiple connections, and there can kind of be like a shifting that is going to be happening. You can be more open to exploring now and seeing what else is out there, because we're ending this part of the spread with the moon. So there can be a part of you that's like, there's something that I'm looking for, and I want to see maybe if there is a place where I can find this. So, but when we have Eight of Cups, it can mean that you possibly have to step away from something in order to free yourself up to do this. I'm seeing your energy coming out here. So we have Libra, we have Gemini, we have Venus, and we have Pisces. Yeah, I think that like overall there's some type of situation that it just doesn't feel right to you. And you can have felt like you really did need to do something about this, but that it's going to bring you into a place where you're headed and you don't really know where that's going to take you. So this kind of opens you up to a phase of exploring that you're going to be stepping into, is what I'm seeing. Because whatever was going on before, this feels like you really looked into it and you really felt into whatever this situation was. And it feels like a relationship type of situation. So you really tuned into it, and you may have looked and said like, I don't think that this is compatible enough. Like, I don't think that this works enough. There's something going on here where what's important to me, the most important stuff to me, may not be the most important stuff to the other person. And you can be in a place where you want more of that like common ground that you maybe don't have with the person that you'd been dealing with or the situation that you'd been dealing with. And so to look at that and say, this, you know, Libra is associated with the scales, and the scales are not only for measuring, but it's to understand when something has reciprocity and when something has equality and when something is balanced and when something equates to something else, even if it's not the same. Can it have that balance where it can be suspended in the parallel? And you can have looked at something and said, these pieces don't work together in a smooth way. And we can like fight and we can try to communicate and do this and do that. but you can't really out communicate incompatibility. So maybe there's just something going on here where you're like, I know maybe I could stay doing this, but when I really check in with myself about what's right for me, and if I'm really honoring my values, and if I'm really honoring my intrinsic scale that balances, I know that this is not really what I need. So you can be coming to that conclusion, and it can be one that feels simultaneously, it can feel sad. This can be something where like you don't want to have to do this, because I'm seeing a Four of Cups be connected to it. So this can be, you know what needs to be done, but there can be a part of you that doesn't feel thrilled about having to do it. Maybe there's even a part of you that's still putting off doing this. You can know too that you're not going to feel empowered, and you're going to feel like you're dismissing the part of you that measures this sort of thing if you don't listen to this. Seeing earth energy here. I'm seeing Virgo on the bottom of the deck. So we have Libra, Gemini. I'm hearing Cancer, Pisces, and Virgo on the bottom of the deck. You're going to be stepping into something that feels more like modern for you nowadays. So this is a space that you're going to be stepping into that you feel much more connected, and I think that it's going to be more rewarding going in this direction. And this feels like it opens you up to some unknowns, but you can feel like there's really no other way to go with this, and that this just has to be done. I am seeing something that I want to... Some of you could have something about, I'm seeing something about a new chapter that you could have, but I'm also seeing a Four of Cups be there. So you could have a new chapter with someone, but you could feel at the same time, like even though the opportunity is there, it doesn't fit together. And if you are truly tuned in to what you're feeling about this, and this isn't only like intuitively, this is like also on a logical level. When you look at the pieces and what goes together, this situation, it doesn't work. And that's just on your discernment and judgment here over this situation. Like it is so innate to Libra to be able to look and see what works together and what doesn't work together, what is functional and what is dysfunctional. Where there is harmony within a dynamic and where there is the antithesis of that. And so you're just looking at something and you're calling it like you see it, and that's it. Like this doesn't even have to do with like whether you want it to be like this or not. It's whether it is or not. And that's just like the math energetically of this. So you look at this and you know it for what it is, and you understand it for what it is, and it feels like this is really the right thing to do here if you were to trust yourself and to trust your judgment. And I'm seeing you be in a very level-headed place too. You know, like this is a time where I feel like the fact that you're an air sign really comes out here, where this is just like logic and facts that you're using to look at this. And I'm not really seeing like a whole bunch of emotion that's ruling this choice that you're making. Like, meaning I'm not seeing emotion cloud your intellect here when it comes to your assessment of this situation. Some of you have also been feeling like you haven't been prioritized in the way that you want to be. And maybe you also haven't been prioritizing yourself either. Maybe there's been stuff that you've been doing where you're like, this isn't even important to me. Why am I focusing on this stuff and then neglecting other things that are important to you? And some of you, I'm seeing something about balancing multiple relationships as well, multiple like choices, investments, connections that can be involved in this. And yeah, I am seeing something about somebody, there being a possibility of you having a new chapter with someone, but having Four of Cups feels like that part of you that knows that this doesn't work. So even though technically the opportunity is presenting itself to you, if you were to take this on, you'd be ignoring the part of you that knows already that this doesn't work. And having Hermit on the bottom of the deck, maybe you are very well aware of this. Like, Libra and Virgo are both very, very discerning signs. So having that energy be here, and like we also have King of Pentacles too, which is connected with you being aware of what it is that you're investing in and knowing the difference between something being a good investment and just like wishful thinking. So this can also be a time too where that part of you is coming up here and you can be ready to explore what will feel more fitting for you now, because this isn't working. And as I said before, I feel like this kind of just leaves you with no other way than to explore the unknown that you're going to be stepping into. Because whatever this is, it doesn't work. So, and you can find something that works, but you're kind of going to have to go into unexplored territory in order to connect with that and see what really works. But it's going to give you a feeling of satisfaction that can be missing right now from things. And so, yeah, I definitely want to point this out. You can have a new chapter with someone, but your feeling will be that this does not work and you need to listen to it. Because just because an opportunity is presenting itself to you, it does not mean that it's a good opportunity for you and that it will fit, and you need to pay attention. If you have somebody saying like, hey, let's have this new chapter together, there is this feeling like their priorities do not align with your priorities. And it can be something that is kind of messing with the stuff that you're investing in right now within your life. So it can be a bit of an issue if you were to go for this. And you can be looking for something that is going to be a better match for you right now. So even though you may not want to have to say like, no, I'm going to like look over there instead, this feels like there's a need for you to honor that. Even though you cannot want to, it feels important that you don't dismiss this part of you that already knows what it is. Yeah, I'm getting something about keeping your options open. This feels too like this is also making sure that you're connecting with things that are working with your ideals in a lot of ways, and that you're not connecting with something that doesn't like share that same vision. So basically, what I'm seeing be going on in the energy is that this is a cycle that you've been going through that has all been about saying no. And it may be like not really an enjoyable one, because you may not like to say no, and you may not like to kind of burn bridges, if you want to call it that. But I'm seeing this whole cycle has been about that. Like, how far are you going to let something go without intervening? Maybe because you want to avoid having to do that a bit. So it feels like repeatedly within the cycle, you've had to look at things and say no. You know, when it goes against your values, or when it crosses a line, or when you see that it doesn't really go together, or when it's disrespectful, whatever it is, This has been a whole cycle of you repeatedly having to say no when you want to, and to honor that. And what that means too is that when you don't say no to things, or when you let stuff slide, you can be dealing with heavier consequences than you normally would be. All to be like, shouldn't you have spoken up there? Like, you with you in these situations, you know? Like, it can be a moment where you didn't say no, or you said yes to something, or like, maybe we can still try it out, whatever, and then it brings you into like a worse situation, all because you didn't put your foot down. And it can be stuff that you don't want to be in those cycles, but it's teaching you how to use your voice in maybe some uncomfortable situations, and also to help you be more open to, if this isn't working, you have to move to something that does work, and not avoid going into the unknown just because you know what this is. Because you can know what this is and know that it doesn't work and be like, well, at least I know what this is, and then you're not opening yourself up to other things, and then this just feels like it gets like less and less of a workable situation, all to just push you forward into a phase of exploring. But it could have been something that you weren't being open to before. Yeah, I'm seeing like a lot about you having to be more direct, more assertive, more forthcoming with the truth, and I think the precision with which you're able to see things within. Like, when you calculate something, to actually be communicating that assessment rather than just observing something and keeping it within and not saying it. This can be, I wouldn't say being controversial, I just think it's about being more honest. And to like everybody, because it can be like, well, I always know what's going on the inside. This can be like behaviors that are matching that. So there's an alignment there. Some of you, this could be forcing you to let go of something, but if that's the case, there can be a question of, if something is meant to be within your life, how severely do you need to hold on to it? You know, if something belongs, why the need to kind of like overpower? All right, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting and tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.